Hi friends, this is your friend Suna Senman coming to you with a very simple but important video. And I am here in Sweden, which is the last functioning democracy in the world. It's the only country that has not put its citizens in house arrest. This is a very important message for humanity, for human beings. And it is also somewhat of a message coming from our ancestors who gave their lives for freedoms that we are now just complacent in giving up. Now, I'm not going to go into all the facts and the details that will be available on a link to a YouTube of an investigative reporter, a researcher who does use scientific methodology. And you can look into that, and I encourage you to look into that. I myself am just about to present in a couple of weeks my research with Swedish teachers in multicultural classrooms. And this was a study that I did, a grounded theory study. I'm not going to go into the whole research details of it, but I really learned about scientific methodology, learned critical thinking, and use this. I interviewed 15 teachers in long 40 to 120 minute interviews to gather information about their experience of their work. And grounded theory is a method that starts with no theory, no concept at all, just wants to investigate a particular area to come up with a theory, come up with a hypothesis or theory. And so I just started asking teachers about about their work, and I found out that their work, and I'm going to find their work is basically centered around preparing citizens, right? And the factors that influenced the citizens were whether the social political situations, the support that they got, multiculturalism, which is culture is how you view the world and how others view the world, and the last one was their self-view, their perspective of themselves. So if you really want to know more details, you can look at this paper once it's presented. Yet, something that's very important is their central role is raising citizens for democracy. And all the teachers I spoke to were very adamant about, or very devoted and passionate about giving people the ability to make decisions for themselves, critical thinking, knowing how to read and write, getting information, sharing information. And I'm going to read one of the quotes of the teacher that is one of the facts that are presented here, because it's a qualitative study where I get information from the people involved. And she said, "My fundamental principle is to teach the system we have here in Sweden, democracy, which can be difficult for people who have not lived in democracy. And democracy depends on literate people who can gather information so no one can just take over." Now, this is my little master's thesis, but it seems to have a lot of relevance to what's happening in today. And I want to speak to Americans because I come from America, and I've been living here in Sweden for a few years, and I'm so grateful that I went through this master's program because the Swedes are very keen on, very exacting on research. And to graduate from any level, even from high school level, you have to do a sort of a research project. And they really learn critical thinking, methodology, and science and such. So what's happened in America, and I'm grateful for my master's in social work that I have in America, which was based on practice. So I had a lot of practice internships and such to graduate, but that was not recognized in Sweden as a master level, even though it's from one of the top schools in the United States, because there wasn't a final research paper presented at the end. And we have been just receiving lots of information, infomercials, commercials, political opinions, and TV shows and movies, a lot that just stirs up our emotions. But how much critical thinking is going behind the information that we're assuming to be real and factual? This beautiful coronavirus pandemic is like the epitome of where we have come in our level of really investigating and looking at what we're believing, what information's coming to us. And we see a lot of different information coming out, and a lot of name throwing, a lot of bullying in a sense. Oh, conspiracy theory, and what is it? Junk media, or false information. I can't even think of the terms that are used there, but you'll see them all through Twitter and all through the social media, even the media. And just looking critically at the information you're being given, it's very hard because we've been so indoctrinated. I mean, schools have indoctrinated us, religions have indoctrinated us, governments have indoctrinated us, the medical industry has indoctrinated us. I mean, heavens forbids, we think there's a pill for everything. What happened to connection to nature? And I think that may be the saving grace in Sweden. Swedes are so connected to nature. They spend their vacations hiking or skiing or blueberry picking or just being out in nature. Their preschools are about going out in nature and learning about the different berries and the trees. And I mean, kids know things that I as an adult don't know growing up in the States, where we get everything packaged from the grocery store or fast food stores, or packaged information through our media systems. And, don't think that you're getting different perspectives just because you're listening to different channels, different news reporting places. It's all coming from the same main source. That's why we need to get back to nature. So let's look at this objectively right now. Do you remember in our history books we read about those Minutemen, those freedom fighters of the to make our nation of America, to break away from the domination of a king and of a ruling class that had no connection to our lives, not living with having to bake bread and get the finances and resources for that bread, that we're taxing our teas. And we've all read those stories, and they kind of been glorified and almost like a fairy tale at this point. But those were real people. Those were real people who gave their lives for the freedoms, freedom of speech, which Facebook and Google and Twitter and all these places are taking away. They're shutting down people who are speaking a different perspective than what has been fed to us through this one channel coming out in many seemingly different channels, but it's the same voice at the center. And they're cutting us off from nature. You're not allowed out of the house. You're not allowed to commune with a tree, with the birds, with the things that light your heart up. that give us messages through our heart. Do we think that the only information that is real has to come through words? Words are representations of information. The real meaning comes behind it. I could say the same word, but with different meanings. And if I speak it, it gets more conveyed, because over 80% of communication, language, is the body language. Only about 7% of what's conveyed are the words. But you can hear words conveyed in very conniving ways. Listen to what people are saying and hear what they're really saying. I once heard someone say, I want to hear you. Well, what I heard was he wanted to hear me. But what he really said, he wanted to hear me. So he had no desire to hear me. But I kind of played with what, I went on. What I wanted to hear was that he wanted to hear me. And I, conveyed my messages and passionately, and there was no receptivity on the other side. So listen carefully to what people are really saying. We do practice selective hearing, and we hear what we want to hear. So really scrutinize. I know that my kids, when they went to the 7th grade, they were taught to scrutinize commercials. But we need to scrutinize our messages coming through the media, through news, because those are commercials. Those are big infomercials. And what I'm trying to convey here is another message. My message I want to convey is, please, don't throw away your freedoms. Live democracy. Respect those that gave their lives for us. And listen to the mottos that they used. United we stand, or divided we fall. What have we done in this nation now? People are hot and cold and at each other's throats for ridiculous things. I believe there's a man behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, that little measly man that scared them all, who is just trying to divide us. And why? Divide and conquer. How much do your freedoms, how much does what America stand for mean to you? And this is for everyone around the world. The world has been looking to America for human dignity, freedoms and rights to be respected. Each one of us need to do our part. Each one of us need to get back to what's real, get back into nature. You know how many people are committing suicide, getting inebriated because of the isolation? Isolation psychologically will bring on depression. Depression weakens your immune system. I am a trained psychotherapist and work with the people who have gone into mental illness because of unhealthy practices, lifestyles. So focus on what is healthy for you. Don't give away your human rights. Don't give away your divine sovereignty. In God we trust. Let's say, in the sovereignty of our divinity we trust. I send this message out to you with love and passion, as you see. I am so grateful to be here in Sweden, where I'm free to walk out my door. I'm free to go hiking in the woods, which I do every day. I'm free to develop my vegetable garden, organic vegetable garden, which I'm doing every day. And I'm free to even meet with my friends, which I do. And go out to the store when I want. I love the concept of democracy. Do we really understand it? I leave you with these questions. And with blessings, blessings, blessings. I wish you all may have this wonderful freedom and beautiful nature experience. Whoops. That I have now. And that was freaky. But I will end this video with my love and blessings to you. Okay. Have a wonderful day.